Hello, everyone. We are waiting for everyone to get loaded into the meeting. Is anyone else experiencing jumping into meetings and there being only note takers there and you talk to them as if they are individuals before you realize that they're note takers? Or is that a me thing? All right, I guess the other question is if you have a note taker go to a meeting, do you like this? Do you skip it? So all these fireflies notifications, is it really someone here with them, or are they just depending on their note taker to take their place? All right, no one's admitting it. All right, it is 2:02. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to the SIP, a space where conversation fuels connection, collaboration drives innovation, and industry leaders come together to tackle challenges. Just like catching up over coffee, the SIP is all about meaningful discussion that moves us forward. At TMC, we're committed to fostering a forward-thinking environment where our members thrive, grow, and make lasting impacts. Today, we're here to share insights, real world perspectives, and strategies that highlight the power of working together. And a big thank you to all of you for taking time out to join the discussion today. Today, we're getting into the legal and regulatory weeds of AI, and I mean that in the best possible way. Regulators are moving, state legislators, hard for me to say, are moving, and a lot of lenders are sitting in the middle of it without a clear picture of what is actually need to do and when they need to do it. Sponsoring today's episode is Brody Gapp LP. And hopefully joining me today is James Brody, the founder and managing partner. James and his team work directly with lenders, legal and compliance solutions, and recently focusing on everyone's favorite topic, AI governance. And his firm just published an analysis of the White House AI legislative framework that lenders should have on their radar. James, welcome to the SIP, maybe. Amy, were you able to add James?
I see that he's in as a panelist, just waiting for him to unmute.
All right. James is working remotely, so we have our fingers crossed that we don't have any internet issues. James, does the drug cartel have you hostage? Blink twice. So while James tries to troubleshoot his technical difficulties, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the TMC Advocacy Committee. One of its primary focuses for the first quarter of 2026 was around AI framework and specifically related to Freddie Mac because they issued a bulletin and the number was 2025-16 at the beginning of the year. And it was the obligation of lenders to put to action that legislation on March the 3rd. And a lot of our lenders haven't gotten there yet. So uh, the advocacy committee has done a couple of things. First of all, they have addressed Freddie Mac's bulletin, and the advocacy committee will be going to the National Advocacy Conference on the back end of it, and we will be meeting with Fannie, Freddie, FHFA, and HUD and Jenny in that trip. And one of the topics that we want to make sure that we are covering with each of them is around the AI framework. So joining me is not James Brody, but Amy, who is the chair of our advocacy committee. And Amy, you want to talk through like what our objectives are around AI, and then I'll let you do the big rollout of what we have planned, what you have planned with R&D. So go ahead.
All right, way to put me on the spot here. All right.
I know James is putting both of us on the spot. We're just going to roll with it, have a good
Here we
time.
go. I think the biggest thing with AI is that it's so new, it's so fresh. We have, we had the Freddie guidelines that came out that were effective in March last month, right? That were not great. They were not very clear. And we've gotten a slew of other guidelines that are coming in. And so it's created this muddy space of how do I institute a governance program? How do I monitor this? What should I be doing as an institution to protect? Obviously, I want to move forward with AI tools, even if it's, very simple, just using tools in your connected to your Outlook, for example. Or is it you have a full underwriting engine, right? So there it runs the gamut of what we're seeing in the industry. Some people are just putting their toe in it and others are running full steam ahead. But no matter where you are in that space, how to govern it is the hard part. So we recognize that. We recognize that our lender members need some help in creating these spaces. James Brody has issued out a nice white paper that is starting to circulate that's helping, right? And we decided, drumroll, that it's important here at TMC to not just have this AI discussion live within the advocacy committee, but instead to spin up its own dedicated committee that reports to the board of director. So this week I had the privilege of having a great conversation with R&D, and R&D has raised her hand and said that she will take over as the committee chair for our brand new AI framework committee that reports to the board of directors. So that will spin up next month.
Yeah. And we're excited about that for a number of reasons. And this is even before the co-op board has the opportunity to vote on it. But it is something that we have been discussing. Asif, who is the CEO at Active Comply, we were actually on the golf course together in Scottsdale. And he was telling me that they had put an AI council together inside of Active Comply, and that they wanted to be able to do the same thing within TMC, so that we can not only help lender members with being able to guide them through the changes that are happening with AI and what the oversight is going to be, but also to help preferred partners, so that our preferred partners have the ability to in turn help more lenders navigate the uncertainty. The other thing around that is that, and I think the biggest problem, with the Fannie Mae bulletin is just the vagueness of it. It's like, here, go figure out what I'm saying to be able to have oversight from your preferred partners or vendors to be able to make sure that they're doing things that are right. And I know one of the things, James, are you with us?
I am. My sincere apologies. Every time I tried to log on, it said I was already logged on. So I must have someone out there that was just really wanting to get on this. But my apologies. I am here, just not visible.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll go back and forth and bring you back in. But the what we were talking about is, Freddie Mac came out with their bulletin, but there seems to be a lot of gray area, and it's not specific as to what the lender responsibility is. And we want to create
Right.
the AI Council that is made up of lender
Yeah.
members and preferred partners to help our preferred partners and lender members navigate these waters. But from your perspective,
Right.
from the March 3rd date, what is the actually required, and where are you seeing the biggest gaps, James?
Yeah. Well, listen, I appreciate that. And look, on the bulletin, it's not guidance. It's a binding seller servicer obligation. As you said, it's been live since March 3rd, and what it really requires is full AI governance frameworks that cover every AI tool that institutions use, and that includes ones that the lender members, vendors have embedded into the products that they already own. So, a lot of clients and people that we're speaking to, out there, think about AI in a way that says, okay, well, yeah, there's all these great new products out there, and we'll be careful with that. But what they don't realize, it comes at them sideways. They're already alive in their institutions. They just don't know the extent of it. And so what they need to start with and understand is what they have in there. They need to take an inventory. They need to be able to show that they have documented policies. They have to show that there is oversight structure and a segregation of duties. And as I said, the biggest gap that we're seeing, and right now we have we're about to put out a publication that really goes from A to Z on this. But the starting point that every institution, no matter who they are, is that they need to inventory what AI tools that they're running. Maybe they bought a pricing engine or a CRM 3 years ago, and now that vendor has since added machine learning features that the lenders, didn't even know about. So, the catchphrase here is you can't build governance around tools that they don't even know that they have. And so that's the starting point. And I think that is what the obligation really is. And it's a start. There are others, but yeah, that's where Freddie Mac comes in. And truthfully, it's something that everyone should be doing already. I spoke to a big group of institutions that typically are very much in the hardcore strict compliance, and even they are still trying to grapple with this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think that's
what I
that's kind of, so everybody is like, a lot of times we as lenders, we get so buried in the production, we forget to do these things. So I think that that's a great reminder. And we've been talking for the past year about you have to have relationships with your vendors, with your preferred partners. You have to know the new tools that they have. So I'm hoping that the TMC lender members are a little bit ahead of the game on that, because they've gone back and they have done the inventory, and they know what solutions that they're using. But for those of you who have not, no time like the present. It's not too late. Although I will tell you, if you haven't started, it's a daunting task, because I think we use like 57 different preferred partners to originate a loan from lead inquiry through servicing. But I also challenge the preferred partners to help. Like, if you have a lender member that you're working with and you have AI embedded in your solution, you should like reach out like, hey, this is a piece you need to know about if you didn't already know. So I think it's two-sided, and it's about being able to work together. But the inventory piece is where everyone should start, and it's a concrete first step. And what those searches usually reveal is that the contracts were written before any of this existed. And so what are the specific provisions lenders need to get into their vendor agreements to help protect them and to mitigate risk? James, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, the great place to start here is to pull their vendor contracts, and they should be searching, for five terms: model card, first action, fair lending, notification, and audit. If those terms aren't there, then they have found their first governance gap list.
Yeah.
Most contracts, were written before any of the AI existed. And, so when they go ahead and they're looking, a great way to start is not to try to, investigate every single one of their vendors, but to look at their agreements, because they're all going to be renegotiated for the most part, to the extent any of these, vendors have, AI in their, product. And I think I had put out, there was an article called AI Vendor Due Diligence that is, whether it's on LinkedIn or it's on our website, where we give a AI vendor contract checklist, things that they can, start with. That's just a starting point, though, to get the conversation going.
Yeah. And I'm going to give, let's use AI to look at those contracts. So we're using AI to help us with AI, but you can set prompts and to call out those specific areas or to see if they are there, and then just focus in on those pinpoints. So you can set prompts in ChatGPT, Claude, whatever AI solution that you use, to be able to say, is there fair lending testing disclosure? Is there adverse action reasoning? To call out those points so that you don't have to comb through every single point that's within those contracts to make your job even more daunting. And then also, then it's time to, if anything is missing, jump on the phone with your providers. So, James, I want to address the federal preemption conversation, because a lot of lenders read those headlines and thought the state level requirements were going away. Can you help us set the record straight?
Yeah, and listen, I just came off talking to a group of depositories. And obviously this is one big question there. And so let me be direct, though, that now when the White House came out with this AI framework, another thing that I think we shared with TMC to break that down, it's really a series of recommendations. It's not a law. It hasn't preempted a single state AI statute. For instance, Colorado's AI Act is still, something that they need to be looking at for I think it's a June 30. It was delayed to June 30, but it's not fully dead. And a working group, as I understand it, is developing a replacement language if they haven't already. Texas, and I can never pronounce this correctly, Triga, but that's been in effect since January 1st. And, lenders who go ahead and, put a pause, to their state compliance work based on headlines, they're really carrying legal risk. And, rather than institutions asking the question of, is this something that I can find my way out of? The question really should be, even if there is no preemption, which there is not as of yet, I'm going to be ready, because this is something that they will need to do regardless, how it comes out. This is the new reality. And, if the people that do it now are going to be miles ahead of the people who haven't. And, we're working with vendors right now to audit them on these issues. And, they also understand that if they want to compete in the marketplace, they need to be able to show that their product, their system is going to be one that lenders can rely on. But as you said earlier, the bottom line is that it's everywhere. Every time an employee signs up for a basic chat log deal, to me, that is evidence waiting to be had by the regulators or in court.
Yeah. So I see this like just extending the compliance metrics that we all use for disclosures and what the state required disclosures are. It's essentially taking that compliance checklist that we have for federal and then layering each of the states because they each are going to have different requirements. And we all know that when state regulators get together, they share information with each other, and then all of a sudden you see close bordering states going the same direction as something that came out into their state neighbors. So is the practical move is to wait for federal clarity to drive your state posture? What's your structural advice and how you manage that?
No, the way we manage it is that there's an existing current framework that will cover your AI right now. You have fair lending. Every time you go to a vendor and you are tying something up with potentially adverse actions, you need to be able to know how you're going to audit that. Are they coming up with this? How are they coming up with that? You need to have an acceptable use policy covering, just like email back in the day, which I guess, the technology now is, probably much greater than, just the internet or email, but you have to be able to know what your employees are using. Are they saying, in HR, gosh, I didn't like the thing that this person did, but I'm a little worried because, I don't want to be accused of sexual harassment. What do you think, ChatGPT? Should I go ahead and do this or that? Well, that is not protected, not covered, not privileged. Someone like me who wants to be invasive in court is going to ask for those chat logs. And so you don't wait until you have a national framework.
Yep.
I think you do have to deal with the state patchwork problem when you don't have a strong federal series of statutes. But just remember that AI is invasive. It's in every aspect of your business: marketing, advertising, HR, compliance, legal, secondary, underwriting. It's there already. And so you have to look at current existing frameworks that will apply to that. And you have to cover it in your contracts, and you have to cover it in your discussions with the vendor.
Yep. And, I think that also as lenders, we sometimes are like, well, they're not going to reinforce it until everybody has a clear understanding. But let's talk reinforcement. So Massachusetts Attorney General's settlement last year is a useful template. Will you walk us through what happened and what it tells lenders about the readiness?
So this was a case, that every lender should really know about. And there's some others like Hepner on discoverability. But, the critical detail here, this wasn't the CFPB. This was AG using an existing state consumer protection and fair lending authority to go over algorithmic lending practices, $2.5 million settlement. What the AG found was that there was an AI lending system that was making credit decisions with no written governance policies, no fair lending testing on the models, no ongoing monitoring, and no documentation retention architecture. But the detail that really should stay with everyone is that the system had automated knockout rules that were rejecting applicants without any compliance review layer. And the algorithm was making credit decisions, and nobody in compliance was looking at it. On top of that, the adverse action notices didn't reflect what the model was actually using to make decisions. And, that's a Reg B problem and a fair lending problem in the same finding. And, this is the enforcement model going forward. With the CFPB materially curtailed, state AGs are the primary enforcement group now. And Massachusetts just showed that every other AG's office will be looking somewhere for that guidance. And, but all that being said, everyone on this call knows just as well as I that, the pendulum in compliance has a tendency to swing back sometimes with equal force, and that these issues have long tails. So what happens today is not going to be what you're having to deal with on today in a year or 2 years.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that that is a great point for all of us. And I think what we have been talking about and what we want lenders to take from this call is you need written policies. You need testing to make sure that AI is performing just as you would test to ensure that your underwriters are, adverse actioning loans in a proper manner, that your policies and procedures are in place and working. And there needs to be continuous monitoring of that. And there also needs to be documentation. So when you find that there is, any errors, that you are mitigating that risk, just like you would do if you were finding defects in QC and being able to mitigate that risk. What's your plan? Did you go back and test that your corrective action actually works and that the system is performing in the manner that you wanted it to? I do want to close on the framing, because how our lenders think about AI governance determines whether it actually gets done. So, James, make the case that it's an enterprise risk issue and not just a compliance checkbox like I previously described.
Well, I mean, look, AI governance failures affect, the profit and loss, the warehouse relationships, GSE obligations, litigation exposure, pricing disparity, and majority minority tracks. Look, the bottom line is that you have to educate not only the C-suite, because this new technology, you don't have to be a technologist to understand how to apply it. It's the same old compliance issues. But bottom line is that because it affects every aspect of your business, if you are trying to silo this, as we silo so many other issues, you're missing the point, because AI is baked into everything now and it's only increasing. So it's not a choice of whether or not you want to deal with AI. You are already dealing with AI. You just don't know the full extent of it.
Yeah. And the cost of getting it right is a fraction of the cost of getting it wrong. That's the sentence that tends to move people and capture people's attention. So for lender members who want to dive deeper, James, where do they find you? In Cancun?
I appreciate that. So, well, Tulum right now, but close. Yeah. But no, listen, in addition to the materials that we have shared with TMC from the amazing Arizona conference, if you go on to either my LinkedIn profile or on our website at www.brodygapp.com and you look for the PDF section, there's about 6 or 7 highly relevant articles on AI governance, implementation issues, and those will give you kind of the full extent to understand, the parameters of what you're dealing with. And I think, what you, Jody, and TMC, and, a lot of the group is doing, I think is great, because this is, really a new frontier. Really, I think it is a great awakening. Education is key, because, it's something so new and so wonderful, but at the same time, for all the benefits it gives, the liabilities are amazing.
Yeah, and I think that that's what TMC historically has done really well, is making sure that we're looking for opportunities to help our lender members navigate any tumultuous times or any space that is uncomfortable and unfamiliar, knowing that you're not going it alone. So that's why we're setting up the AI Council, and also why the AI Council is going to be not just looking for ways to take our voice as advocates for all of you to DC, but also looking for ways to provide additional education on a monthly basis while AI is moving so quickly and the guidance is constantly changing. But that's a wrap. James, this was exactly the conversation our members needed: practical, specific, and actionable. You got a checklist to walk away with from this episode. So I want to thank you and Brody Gapp for sponsoring today's episode. I want to thank Amy Azarandia of First Trust, who is the chair of our advocacy committee, the co-chair of or the vice chair of our co-op board. So thank you for jumping in and pitch hitting. But thank you for all who joined and bear with us through some technical issues. But as always, thanks to the TMC community for tuning in. If you're not yet a member and you want to become a member so that you can take advantage of benefits like AI committee and the education we're going to be providing, please reach out to me directly. And cheers until the next time. I'll see you on the SIP.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Thank you.